with these last two signings that you did on the hardship or waivers, how important was it to have experienced players or players who've been around playing professional basketball in some capacity, in recent months?
It's definitely important, having played against pros and understanding pro systems. But the most important thing for us was having primary ball handlers that can get downhill. Someone who can allow some of our other players to get back to natural positions, who can take some pressure off of Kelsey to be the only creator. And so, certainly with those two, they give us opportunities to get downhill and to run offense. And now it's just about how much they can absorb in a short period of time.
With Odyssey, could you notice a difference even just in practice too, just in terms of her comfortability of being in the system and the things you guys want to do?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yesterday in practice, I thought she had a great day. It was more just, I think, the first game one, a little bit of game one jitters and a little bit of being a little bit tentative. But I thought she looked really good yesterday in practice and had much more of a grasp of some of the things that we want.
Hey. Through all the adversity that you guys have kind of gone through this season, what are you most proud of this group as you guys have kind of, plugged away?
I think two things. One, they're a connected group. And, I think it shows the character of the team that you have and the people that you have when that adversity brings you closer instead of it pulls you apart. And the second thing is just how resilient they've been. It's just, next player up. It's put one foot in front of the other. It's continue to compete at a high level, continue to hold one another accountable to a standard, and been able to find a way to fight through a lot of this.
From your perspective, how much did you feel like you needed to tweak, or did you say, hey, we're going to keep plugging away with what we already do, or how did you kind of find those minuscule tweaks to kind of keep being able to move forward?
Yeah, we've had to tweak some things. Certainly when you don't have players obviously we've been without C for a lot of the year, but like Ari, who gives us, a downhill driver, someone who can get to the rim, who really caught onto the system quickly, and Sid, who is very much a directing coach on the floor, point guard, and getting us into other actions. And so when you lose all 3 point guards, you got to tweak what you're running. We were heavy ball screen usage team before, and we'd like to be a little bit more off ball action. Playing to the strengths of the players that we have on the floor, while still finding ways to get Kelsey downhill, still finding ways to get AB touches. I think AB is most affected on the floor because her touches aren't as much as when you have a true point guard on the floor. And I think Sophie's been most affected because now she's got to run some point.
I mean, you just kind of touched on it, but the challenges of integrating players on top of it being a point guard specifically, how tough has that been to – I mean, they're supposed to kind of be out there running the offense, and now you're just having to almost cycle through repeatedly, kind of teaching your new point guard how to run the offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. I think for us it's really scaling back and thinking about what we want to run when they're on the floor. What are some high usage things that we can do? Obviously, we won't have the entire playbook. It's just too fast for it to be able to absorb that, and we also want them to play naturally and not be overthinking at times. So it's been a challenge, but they both really come in and have dug into getting with AK and talking about the offense, getting with Bree and talking about the defense, and absorbing a lot of information quickly.
Following up on that, you mentioned Sid being kind of a coach on the floor, and there's a lot made about the point guard being an extension of the coach out there. Do you feel like it's the hardest position to lose all your depth at if you had to pick one?
Absolutely, 100%.
At what point, if maybe you already have, do you start on a daily basis discussing playoff implications? I know you're obviously trying to stack days, as you say, but at what point do you bring that conversation in nearing the end of the season? I
think there have been a lot of points that we've mentioned it, particularly when it comes to tiebreaker scenarios. Thinking back to our game against Vegas and our game at Seattle, this is another one. And every game at this point in the year with where we are is there's got to be a sense of urgency. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're depending on other people, where you're hoping that other people are going to help you position yourself for the playoffs. So, we talk about it. We also don't want to trip on anything behind us and can't look too far forward. So, super important for us to just stay locked into the moment, understand that, we've got a great challenge ahead of us in this Washington team, and make sure that we come out and give everything that we have and execute at a high level.
What stands out the most about how Kelsey has adapted?
Yeah, I mean, she's just a baller, man. She just plays. And I think for us, the number one priority was putting her in position to use her instincts and do what she does naturally. And so every play that we thought about or every action that we wanted to put her in was something that we wanted her to just feel like she can just go out and play. She didn't have to overthink. She could just be instinctual. And she's been able to just take it and run with it. And I'm incredibly proud of Kelsey because every time we've had a setback or an injury, we've had to depend on her more and more, not just for scoring, which she's had to carry us at times, but for playmaking. And her decision-making has been really good. Her ability to find her teammates has been excellent, while keeping her turnovers down. And she's just continued to embrace every part of and every role that we need her to play, and not just embrace it, but excel in it.
Steph, as Bree becomes more well-rounded as a head coach, in what ways do you maybe utilize her as the former point guard who can assist with that transition period with the number of players brought in?
In a lot of ways. She's had experience in that role and had experience in learning new systems and multiple teams in that role and helping players understand, I think that you don't have to know everything at this point when you're coming in at this point in the year. But we've got to highlight, 3 or 4 things that we can put them in position to be successful. And then they've got to go out and be a leader of a team. That's the position that has to go out and be the leader. That's the position that has to go out and communicate at a high level, that dictates tempo for us. And that really is the head of the snake, so to speak, for everything that we want to do on the offensive and defensive end. So I think her communication with them is important. Them understanding that she's been through this. I think we've got that with most of our staff, right? It's like we've been in these situations. She's been in this situation. Kareem has been in these situations, and just go out and play. That's why you're here. Like, play free.